And that's a good point you bring up. Now we got to talk about this Nox pick for Gallus here and what he was able to do. It felt like after a while, Obey just started to focus down this Nox, and that's kind of when things turned towards Obey's way, Taco.
I think that was one of the main differences here. I would have automatically assumed that the Athena was going to be Gallus's and Nox was from Wlfy in that mid lane, but I do feel as though Rival might have outplayed themselves a little bit there with that Janus last pick. It seemed a bit unnecessary and risky, but that's what these best of 5 sets are for. Rival trying to see what they can get away with, I believe.
There's just a lot of space control that Obey was able to do between the Zeus, Huyi, and Cabraking, locking people down. Xaliea playing lights out. One of his favorite go-to picks ever since he's been playing at a professional level from the early seasons of Smite. So you can never really predict where he's going to go. And also picking up the beads early on, saving his life.
Yeah, that was a great call, and not one that you always make, but as you said, kept him alive there up against that aggression from Wlfy. And while we're talking about him here, Xaliea on this Cabraking pick, I mean, the control he provided, the setup for the rest of his team, especially with a Zeus on there, I mean, he was isolating a lot.
That's true. The wall just keeping people in place for the suns and the thunder and lightning, all the elements raining on top of Rival, nowhere to really go. Even some of the Janus portals, you know, saving them, but then there's Twig diving in your backline, cleaning you up.
Because the thing about Xaliea running this Cabraking is that the walls or that threat of him stunning you forced Wlfy, I think, numerous amount of times where he just kept trying to provide those portals for his team. In a competitive environment, normally Janus is like ideal because you can throw that portal up against the wall, get your teammates out of a tough area. But in this case, Obey just played their draft so patiently, and whatever Xaliea forced out, Twig was sure enough ready to follow it up with.
And that's how you have to play, honestly, at this competitive level. You can do all the engages you want, but sometimes you'll get bit in the butt in response. CaptainTwig responding in kind to a lot of these tower dive ganks, avenging Xaliea just all over the map.
And you all talked a little bit about how some of these picks on the rival squad, like the Janus, the Nox, maybe didn't go quite where you were expecting. How did you feel about IceIceBaby on this Athena in the jungle for them?
IceIce in the jungle on the Athena, I think that there were a couple of times where he fell victim to his own way of trying to get those dash taunts off as part of the initiation factor. I like the mentality behind it, though, because ideally you want your jungler all over the map, and if there was one thing IceIce was able to accomplish, it was peering from one lane to the next. However, if you need a little bit more follow-up damage behind it, I think Vote, whenever he was actually nearby, IceIce did a great job at picking up those kills or helping Ice find them. But other than that, I do feel as though it just became a little bit too tricky for Rival to really target focus one member.
Going from one utility jungle in the Odin in the first game to another in Athena is still shows signs that IceIceBaby's God pool is so diverse. Keeping Obey guessing, I think, is the game plan, and that's why he switched it up to the Athena and allowing Callus to play the Nox support. So I don't necessarily think that Rival are out of it mentally by any stretch. I think that they just need to go play their own game plan a little bit more.
Maybe go back and playing their own game plan. Talking about Rival's game plan, they'll vote on this Amuz and Cobb. Maybe a little bit of spiciness there just in the build path. And if y'all, I'm sure y'all noticed that he had that Relic Dagger equipped on him there that he bought. Talk to me a little bit about what Relic Dagger does for him here. I'm sure you can tell me a little bit about what it does.
And the main thing about the Relic Dagger, I believe, was because he wanted that cooldown reduction on his actives. He had the Purification Beads and the Aegis, so without having to actually expend that 1,000 gold to upgrade both of those actives early on, he instead relied on the Relic Dagger for that additional health, and I believe that you also get a little bit of movement speed from this item as well.
Trying to just stay alive, honestly, against CaptainTwig that's going to be diving you consistently with that Ratatasker. Not a bad option. Some hunters will elect to go for more health in terms of Wing Blade, getting more movement speed, but there's so many defensive options. We've even seen Mantle of Discords every now and then, so when you get low enough, you'll proc that mini Geb ultimate stun and then just walk away.
Yeah, we've seen some of that. I think Mantle Discord even saved a life earlier on in this term. I don't remember exactly which game it was, but those defensive options, they can come out big for him sometimes. And even though it was the best performance last game, Callus, though, man, for Rival, just playing so well, was a big part of what they did right in game 1, and hopefully get that mindset right for game 3 here.
Well,
totally.
Sylvanas was a big part for him in game number 1, but going to the Nox game number 2, not the best idea. And Sylvanas wasn't picked or banned here in game number 2, so I'm expecting maybe for Callus to go back back to that option. Maybe not necessarily the Isis and Sylvanas, considering that was banned away in the secondary portion of it, but maybe bring it back early on.
Well, that's Collis there, the support coming out for Team Rival, though. We do actually have a video here that we want to show y'all just to get a bit of a closer look.
I expect to win just like any other team, but you know, what happens, happens. Everyone's always gonna say that, you know, we expect to win, so what happens, happens. In the beginning of the split, we tend to try all kinds of stuff and then like have like a tryout phase, but then that phase lasts for way too long, and then like half a week before we're supposed to be playing, we're just, what are we doing? We suddenly start playing properly, and the reason just avoids me all the time is just suddenly it's good, and then we're just very bad, and then we just go back to what it's supposed to be. Online it's like kind of chill play style, but on LAN it's kind of aggressive and into chill if we're really behind, so we're gonna have to farm a bit. I like to play aggressive. I like aggressive gods, Fafnir, Ares, and those kind of gods. Try not to get caught, but sometimes with the aggressive play style it happens. So.
And you heard Collis say it there himself. Sometimes with this Rival team, it just seems to all click. And I think this year, it's been clicking a little bit more than it hasn't been. But they're set here up against Obey. It's basically just a best of 3 now, totally, because they've 1-1. They've evened everything up. Now they got to refocus here into these last couple of games.
A little bit less room, wiggle room rather, for what they wanted to do. They had their experimentation game. Didn't work out too well for them. Rival need to reel it back in slightly. Obey Alliance now with the momentum after winning the last game.
And that was really the other distinguishing factor for me, though, with Collis playing this Nox instead of the Fafnir or the Sylvanas. Those are a little bit more of the aggressive support play styles, and that kind of just fits Collis to a T. But the Nox a little bit more fickle in the sense that you're looking for the pure utility setup. You're not really looking to be the all-in initiating factor as much as you're trying to sit on the backside, maybe peel for your carries with those silences, but more importantly, just try and find those root combinations.
That's right. Even though Collis built essentially full protections in that game, just nothing but defense, still there were times where he was getting caught out and getting isolated there by the rest of it. But we didn't spend very much time talking about Obey here, Ataraxia. I mean, on that Hu-Yi pick, totally, he was playing well, doing the damage they needed for him, and the places with those Sunbreakers.
And more importantly than his offensive capabilities was his ability to dive bomb in response to a lot of situations, just always avoiding the dash taunts from IceIceBaby, prevented himself from, forcing those beats prematurely, keeping himself very relevant in the team fights.
And it seems like Ataraxia, like most Hu-Yi players, the second that he started feeling those ricochets, he was just letting them loose. I felt like almost every single triple bounce kept finding a home. Unfortunately enough for Rival, because that's the last thing you want happening is losing 3/4 of your health bar to a triple bounce.
It's a feels bad moment right there when you get hit by those triple bounces by the Hu-Yi, but we got picks and bans ready for you here. Rival up against Obey, Game 3 of our EU Finals here at Super Regionals, and right out the gate, Rival do not want to have to deal with RDO.
I think that Rival should honestly start playing RDO first pick potentially, but maybe they're a little bit too worried about the Nemesis or the Serqet from CaptainTwig, so going to take that option off the table, and look how fast these bans are going.
That's the reason why we don't see Rival trying to play for the RDO, because if they can get Fafnir, they're going to take it every single time. First pick. And now with that being eliminated and with that aggressive route being back open for Rival, I'd imagine that they could again threaten Obey with that possible double hunter composition.
And Rival, as you stated there, Tully, the first couple of bans went really quick, and Rival snap took that Fafnir pick, likely for Collis, who likes to play that one. So now Obey, in response to that, taking a little bit more time to think about what they want to do with these first 2 picks, already took Odin and Osiris off the table.
So these are the same exact bans for the same teams, except that since Rival lost, they are the first pick selection. They're the ones with the Fafnir this time around instead of Obey Alliance, and it's almost a reversed effect here. Yi is prioritized by Obey Alliance, whereas in this position for Rival, they wanted to go for the Moosing Cobb and pay the price.
And Obey, for all 3 of these games so far now, they have been taking this Yi in their top 3 picks, showing just how much they favor having this Hunter on their side.
And then they also pick up the Chulainn here. I believe Xaliea has been playing Cabrakan through these first 2 games, so not necessarily Chulainn will go to him, though it's something we know Xaliea can play.
Still a flex pick, considering CaptainTwig could elect to go for that as well. A blink Chulainn from the jungle is one of the most terrifying things for a Hunter, especially one without an escape.
And again, it just feels as though Obey is really trying to control the space around these objective team fights. And with the Fafnir, you're always going to pose that threat of maybe we're just going to burn this down, having that coerce on our side. But Obey now with those Suns and with the Chulainn's transformation, it's very easy to pose a contest.
So something that Obey Alliance liked to do was pick the Zeus after the secondary ban phase in conjunction with the Fafnir. Isis, though, is the mid option for Wlfy. Erlang Shen will be locked in for Deathwalker more than likely. Probably going to be looking to ban away the Zeus if Obey don't pick their mid here.
Rival, once again, going back to the Isis pick that they enjoyed so much in that first game. The Erlang Shen provide a little bit of sustain to go along with that. One more pick for them, and now throwing it back over to Obey to make their final pick, at least of this first pick ban phase, before they move into the second round of bans.
So Obey Alliance, they need to either pick a Zeus here for sure, or the Sylvanas.
And the thing is, I agree with you entirely, totally. They need to find either their support or their mid laner here, because whichever of the 2 that they don't select, I don't see the ideal picks surviving the next round of the bans, because Rival having their core composition already composed just leaves them so much flexibility as far as what they want to take for jungle and ADC.
That's what's going to be for Obey. What do they want to prioritize here? That mid, maybe we'll turn a little bit towards PrettyPriMe or go towards support. Because as you said, Rival are going to be happy to start snatching that away from them in this next pick ban phase, especially because they already have Fafnir. And instead, they go for the Serqet here, totally.
That makes sense considering that Serqet's ultimate gives you 100% healing reduction. So it doesn't even matter if you're hiding under that Isis ultimate. You're not going to receive that healing, but you will receive some of that damage reduction.
And that's exactly where I was about to go, is that Serqet, great pick against the Erlang and the Isis, because whichever one of those 2 that Twig decides to target, he's probably going to be able to assist his team in finding the follow-up damage afterwards for the kill. But if he doesn't get the kill, if he tries to commit onto either of those 2 targets, there is just so much turnaround potential from Rival.
And it's going to be tricky for Twig to get into that backline against an Isis who has 2 forms of CC control between the silence, between the stun. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Cabrakan for Obey Alliance this time around banned away despite themselves having the next pick.
That's right. It's mostly been them that have been playing it, but now they choose to take it away. Worried about some of the tankiness on this Rival composition. In response, though, Rival go ahead and take away that Zeus pick, Taco.
I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a Vulcan ban from Rival as well. Fight circles with circles, because if there's one thing that you want to do for an Isis ultimate, it's stand right on top of it. And Vulcan ultimate pretty much covers the exact same AoE.
Despite not seeing a Vulcan this entire Super Regional, if there's any team, any player to bring it out, it would be PrettyPriMe. That Titan skin from Season 1 Worlds going into him and his boys out of Titan, himself with Ataraxia back then losing to Cogred.
Obey respecting rather that Athena pick after it was played. They ban it away, and then Rival banning away the Sylvanas pick from Obey, and Totally unhappy.
No, I was just talking about, I was in my own head. I thought it was Cogred. It was actually CogPrime that they lost to in Titan. But yes, Sylvanas is indeed the ban. The circles of Yi, Zeus, and Sylvanas is just such an easy combination to control around the jungle, and that's exactly why Rival don't want Obey.
But of course, Obey, they did have that next pick selection being second pick side, and it's going to be the Janus instead.
Wow.
Both of these teams have been unsuccessful so far in their matches that they risked with this mid lane, but now this is a pretty different draft that we're seeing out of Obey on the Janus. A lot of chase down potential, really.
Serqet is going to be wanting to dive that backline. If you threw space and time into the team fights, CaptainTwig is going to have that semi-global pressure. It's not the same idea with a Ratatasker, but with the assistance of your mid laner, he should be able to get it in and out of the action.
And despite, as you said, Taco, this Janus not being particularly successful so far, PrettyPriMe in a big game 3 feels comfortable. They selected for Obey, still perhaps waiting on their support pick for last as they throw it over to Rival, who still have a couple picks to make for themselves. They don't have a Hunter yet here either, so they've got to try and prioritize something like that.
There's still the Hachiman availability as well as the Ram selection, and right as I'm saying it, he's picking it. Rival really wanting to lock down this bit of a mid to late game hunter for Vote. Vote usually has some pretty stand-up performances on this Ram as well, and if there's one guy I'd want to see with it, it's probably him.
Securing the late game damage in conjunction with the Fafnir's Coerce. Thor, we haven't seen that very often thus far in Super Regionals. A staple pick with Isis. Back in season 1 and 2 when, you know, red pod, purple pod was a thing, you would look for these level 1 and 2 plays, trying to control the lane, maybe look for an early first blood and then some hot invades after.
And it feels like not too far different. I mean, still kind of a setup god for IceIceBaby there in the jungle, so maybe not too hard of a transition as Obey for their last one.
Didn't get a chance to say it. It was the Ganesha. As soon as that Thor selection came through, all I could immediately think of was Ganesh. Those silences just so perfect when a Thor is trying to launch off their combination of attacks, and that's going to prevent a lot of setup possibilities from Rival.
The is just going to interrupt all sort of channeling abilities. Thor specifically, Isis Wing Gust in conjunction, so Rival needs to separate themselves against Obey.
Well, we got those full rosters here, so as usual, I got to ask, how are y'all feeling about these picks? Who you got?
I got Rival, honestly, personally, because Thor Isis does a lot of damage from a distance. Even if you do silence out their channeled abilities, Spirit Ball and Hammer does a lot.
I'm really liking Rival's draft in this game. I'd probably have to hand it to them.
Well, it's a double Rival vote here on the desk. Let's get over to the casters to see if Rival can follow through.
Thanks a lot, John Finch. Tom Battinger joined here by Graham Hatfield. How you doing?
I can't deal with that.
Oh, okay,
I'm
fine.
sorry. I couldn't keep it. I'm sorry. That was just awkward.
What do you mean?
No.
Look, I was ready to go.
Listen,
you're just not used to having Ryan.
I'm
just
not used to having
looming.
him behind my shoulder like that.
Well, either way, Tom Battinger, Ryan, and Graham joined here as we get ready for game number 3. 1 and 2 went to 2 separate teams. Game 3, well, somebody else got to win.
I think whoever wins this wins the set. Like, this is 3-1. Either way, I think this will be the camel's back getting broke of one of these two teams. Not sure which one, but I think that's going to be the case.
I could certainly see it happening that way, and both teams have potential to try and get this game rolling in their favor early on. I mean, Isis Thor is one of the classic mid-jungle comps when you want pressure, when you want CC, when you want early game damage. But this Serqet pick for CaptainTwig is going to be the difference maker in my mind. If Twig can get off to a good start and get that Isis behind early on, get that Thor behind early on, there's plenty of stuff to interrupt what IceIceBaby wants to do on the Thor when you're looking at the Serqet Madness, the Ganesh Silence, the portals from PrettyPriMe, the stun from Ataraxia. Ice is going to have to be careful about where he's using those abilities, not just the Berserker's Barrage, but even trying to teleport away with the Mjolnir's Attunement. You get stunned out, silenced out, whatever it may be, you're going to put yourself in a bad spot.
I'm actually really concerned about Team Rival here because Team Rival started last year as a Cyclone GG. Go ahead.
Serqet, just look at where Serqet is right now. I'm just a little bit wary of what Twig was doing. Sorry, I thought he might have ganked mid lane with that pressure they had there. Sorry to cut you up, but I was like, hang on a sec, what's going on? Instead, it's going to be a speed buff invade. I kind of like this choice.
So my point was, as Collis tries to invade by himself and walks away, is that Team Rival has been a team for a long time, and it took them basically, reason why they're so successful, skipping a whole bunch of chapters, is the fact that they stopped playing everybody else's game and started playing their own game. The problem was everybody else's game was jungle Thor. IceIceBaby never was successful on this pick. Now, it's been a long time since then. Has he gotten it back?
I think so. I think that I can remember at least 1 or 2 games where he had a decent performance as Prime. Loses the purification beads in mid. Loved that Wlfy and Vote immediately ignore Prime to say thanks for the beads and head right for the wave. And at the same, you know, as much as I'm worried about what IceIceBaby is going to be able to do with the Thor and if he can get his abilities off, the same concern is there for CaptainTwig up against a Thor who has the wall, Kalos with the hammer, Wlfy with the... Getting silence out of ambush as Serqet is like the worst feeling because then you lose that cooldown and you're just kind of toast.
I'm actually excited as well about seeing the Wlfy IceIceBaby show in terms of Thor Isis. It's been a while since we've seen the pairing together, but that was an old tried and true and tested composition that we used to see jungles and mids run all day together, and it would never never be given to a team because it just had so much benefits of synergizing well.
Specifically around the objectives, right? You drop down Wlfy's ultimate, and then IceIceBaby goes to the sky, and nobody's allowed in whatsoever. You're either going to get stomped on by a Thor or popped from beneath by the ultimate from the Isis.
And then also on ganks, it's the CC chain that comes through with the silences and the walls.
CC chain in the poke potential from these two gods is absolutely nuts. I mean, normally it's Thor double tap you to wall into the hammer throw, but now you're talking wall, hammer throw, plus spirit ball, plus at least one shot of wing gust, and you might just have to go back to base just from that little combination. And that's if you have purification beads. If you don't, a lot of times you're just dead.
Yeah, troublesome stuff. Trouble for Xaliea as well. He'll be able to dash away, and Ice was there with a wall. Had Xaliea not been so quick on the take.
Was it good use of abilities from Xaliea, though, to realize I'd just root him and then dash away straight away, just in case there was a rotation coming, which he had an idea about. Now it's going to give Rival a bit of pressure on the right, which means Ice can either look for the back harpies, a proxy farm, or a gank.
Well, I love what CaptainTwig's doing. He went and got the back right harpies because he also was lurking on that right-hand side in case that gank went south.
They know.
For Rival. But now he loops around to the back underneath, but you're right. Wlfy has him caught out.
He's going to get stunned. Also, by the way, take out that back camp. CaptainTwig silence, nice silence, but the jump is going to be followed up Collis, but he can't chase the Death Bane. But the Rob snipes, one shot.
Out
But
of
that's all
range.
he'll get.
Out of range, that's maybe. But in the sky is Ice, so now Twig still running away. The double tap miss from IceIceBaby, though, and the slow from Prime will help out just a little bit more.
That was my concern, man. It's been a minute since I've seen Ice on the Thor, period. It's also been a bigger minute since I've seen Ice actually be able to execute it.
Was he max range?
The ultimate, yeah, it may have been, but it still hit. The Ice should have just been able to spin and kill CaptainTwig there. I just wonder if he had used his spin to clear the back harpies on the right-hand side, if he had gone for an invade, if he had cleared something in the right side jungle that meant the spin goes down, because there's no reason to use the riskier option there, which is to go for the hammer toss instead of just spinning down CaptainTwig.
That's why I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I'm pretty sure Ice realized how close he was. He must have been on cooldown, otherwise
Must have been.
would have been a different story there for sure.
Maybe because if you get interrupted in the spin with the Cobra's Kiss, then you could drop the kill. So if you throw the hammer and he Cobra's Kisses you, then it's still going to track and hit him on the backswing. But if you're really that concerned about that potential, you just pre-beads right before you start to spin, and that's a free kill.
The most interesting thing about that now is whether Twig goes back to doing that again, because that was very, very risky for him to look to do that. But it did pay off because he got a lot of investment and still managed to get away.
EmilZy going to pause here right quick. Obey Alliance got to figure something out so far. Dead even. Look at this.
He needed a drink. That's what it was. You see that? I know this is like I took him on water after pausing the game.
I think we all need a drink after this series, but right now, Rival trying to make it happen. The Thor. I'm gonna go. I need to see him succeed, because right now all I'm thinking is it's not his pick.
But that's also the reason why I'm saying I think this will be the next two. It'll be two more games, and that's it. Whichever side wins this one, I think will win the next. And I think it could come down to this though.
It certainly could. But that being said, IceIceBaby's already off to a decent enough start on the Thor. He got the purification beads out from Twig. Didn't find the first blood, but still had showed the potential to land the ultimate. And you look at what Wlfy's doing in the mid lane, he's already finished off that Warlock Sash, so he's off to a great start, was stacking that later game item. His power is going to start to become more and more relevant, and then that enables IceIceBaby to continue to play aggressive because he knows that circle of protection could be waiting for him.
Did get a few signs out of what Rival's composition can really do on the skirmish battles a little bit more there as well. Obviously, it was Twig getting caught at the back. It was IceIce, engaging that, but then we had the Rama snipes, which shows he can influence from one side of the map, and then the Thor follow-up. Talking about Thor follow-up, he's already down in Twig's in
Nice
trouble.
wall. Deathwalker gets the kill. Number 1 for Team Rival. Xaliea still wants to fight. Deathwalker, however, gonna walk away.
Hey, you asked for it and you were a little bit worried about it. Well, there's the first kill of the game going the way Rival because of the Thor.
Hey, he got the beads earlier on by hitting the ult, forcing Twig to use them, and then he punishes him with the big spin.
Okay, I'm with it. Listen, I'm not sitting here rooting against it.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you are.
I'm just saying, from my vantage point, I've seen IceIceBaby drop it. In fact, this is one of those times where Graham and I say it all the time as an analyst, when you make comments like that, you want to be wrong, and this might be the moment.
I love the through space and time. Now Deathwalker still low because of the anti-heal. The shield from the turtle was good, but not good enough as IceIce claims another life, and it was the life of Twig in trade for Deathwalker.
And as I mentioned, for me, this Obey composition revolved around how well CaptainTwig was going to be able to do. We're 5 minutes in.
Two
Rival
down.
has 2
Here it
kills,
comes.
and they're both on a twig.
Whoa! Ooh, the beads. Xaliea very quickly able to get out of there. Also nice to know that the Soul Laner has beads.
Yep, beads just to make sure he gets away from the danger. But Xalia's been the proponent of doing that more than any of us solo laner, I'd like to say. Depending on what he's against, he's not scared of using the beads, and he's very preemptive with the beads too.
For me, it was Scary D this lane, the first to buy just the selfish Aegis, you know, in the solo lane to make sure he doesn't get Krakened in that particular matchup.
Yeah.
Now it seems like other solo laners have caught on to the fact that, hey, not getting Xingqian ulted into tower is pretty nice because you're used to just kind of accepting that's part of your matchup. Now, teams are starting to realize that maybe if their solo laner can stay safe, you know, they get through the early game, yeah, those beads aren't as useful in the later game because you're tanky and don't really care if you get CC'd as much.
I mean,
but in the early stages, it's really valuable.
No Numbers was the only one that's been running the teleport still. I mean, No Numbers
Yeah.
went back to it. and
Kiki did as well.
It worked out a little bit. Yeah, Kiki. But that was mainly because he was playing a bit defense. Most of those lane matches were more of the negative side. No Numbers had 50-50 ones and still picked up the teleport.
And what's cool about that is that it tells me that there really is no right or wrong answer. It's
Well,
really
I mean, everyone says Thorns, right?
Sure. Okay, Thorns is the right answer.
Supposedly.
But it shows me that there's multiple approaches, multiple ways to play the game, which is really when I think, not just Smite, but any game is in its best state when you can have multiple play styles.
And it's about the relic choices as well being variable, you know? Like, it's no certain one is good all the way through. I mean, obviously, beads will always be good throughout. That's just a given factor.
Yeah.
But Aegis comes in and out. Shell comes in and out. Horrific Emblem, useful at times. Curse. Even the Cursed Ankh we've seen now and again on occasion, which hasn't been this time before.
Exactly, and we don't see, we actually saw a Cursed Ankh earlier on in this set, and even though I believe Obey lost that game, the Cursed Ankh did make a difference.
Thor goes up, looking for one. Oh, boom! Right on top of Xaliea. Trouble for him as Deathwalker confirms it.
Space and time free from Prime, just a little bit too late to really help out. And Twig now looking at his speed buff being stripped away by Rival.
Silence.
Was good on Twig, but Twig has to dance away. The speed buff was saved.
Stolen there by
Nice.
PrettyPriMe, using that extra power from the Doom Orb that he's gone for to make sure that he can secure it.
Do more with Doom Orb.
That's it? That's all you had for us?
Do more with Doomob.
Yeah, it's like his favorite.
I've been saying that since like 2015, dude.
It's pretty
Don't
good.
think I've ever heard it.
Do more with Doom Orb.
Yeah, but you always say it like that, like you're actually selling me Doom Orb.
Yeah, like you know, it's like an infomercial.
Yo, what if F-Dot was like the guy you buy your Smite items from?
I would not buy my Smite items from him. That's why.
That's my next video series. I'm just gonna
We
create
just put
like,
you as a shop in the base where you actually
Yeah.
click on you. You're like, what do you want? And you'd be like, Ho Yi! Every time Ho Yi came out to
welcome
base.
to the Fountain of Value.
F-Dot's chip vendor stand right in
Oh
the
my
fountain.
God.
And hot dogs.
Chips and hot dogs.
No, I'll put on the Bomb King voice. I'll be like, "Hello there, I want to buy some items right now."
Just sounds like you're back home in New York. That's the only difference I felt there.
Not
What
on,
world is that?
not on. I can't deal with you.
That copy's being fought by now Wlfy and Thor at the moment, though. 1-0-2 for IceIceBaby. 2-level lead still over CaptainTwig. That's the real talking point.
And you know what? I again happily to eat my words so far. Only 9 minutes in, ton more Smite to play, but plays like this, kind of nice to watch IceIceBaby, because like I said, not known as a Thor player. I'd like to see him come back.
And he's already working towards some more damage with that mace. Could be going for a
Jotuns?
Jotun's Wrath. That's what I would assume. I mean, Jotuns is the feel-good item for junglers, getting that 20% CDR. Yeah. And the Brawler's Beat Stick here, not particularly relevant against any of Obey's gods. Crusher, I can't imagine being the call either. So Jotun seems to be the most obvious choice to me. And I love to see junglers going back to building a little bit more damage-oriented.
Yeah.
Not going for Twig, who, you know, is missable mail.
Ataraxia is baiting. This was a bait because round the corner, guess who was waiting for him? It was
Oh, he
EmilZy, but he
misses.
missed with that charge. That charge connects. More trouble for Callus, and that ult probably would have ended up killing him too, but there was an ult as well from Thor there, I believe. No?
Nope.
Okay, he just teleported to his hammer. My bad. I just saw him quickly move on the screen.
I love the idea there from EmilZy. Doesn't hold that ohm for the entire duration, actually. Cancels it out a little bit early, expecting that Kalas is just kind of accepting that he can't jump until the ohm is over.
Right.
And tries to catch him sleeping, but got to give credit where it's due to Kalas. He's spamming that jump to try and get out of there. As soon as he's able to, was able to jump up and over that charge.
Leap is down on Xaliea there. You just saw he got burnt in that lane, but surprised to see IceIceBaby wasn't looking for a potential follow-up, knowing that wasn't available. You just mentioned the Crusher as well for Thor potentially, which is something you don't expect. I think you don't really need to worry about when you look at the state of the towers right now that Obey have already had 2 whittled down.
I think IceIce doesn't go for that play because he knows the speed buff is coming up, and
He's a jungler.
yeah. Jungler.
And he's a jungler.
Rather have speed than a kill.
Well, it's that, and if his speed's coming up, that means that Twig's speed is likely coming up, which means because Twig's a jungler, that's where he's going to be as well, so trying to dive there isn't the best play.
Speaking of which, Speedbuff has respawned for CaptainTwig, but no invade coming out from Rival just yet. Instead, it's just a bit farming off and keeping the pressure on mid from Rival right now, especially with Callus rotating around here on his signature Fafnir.
One of the benefits of Twig going for what has become his, signature tank Serqet build is that it doesn't really matter if he's behind.
Look at that minion. So I just wanted the minions following Callus all the way through the jungle there for a second.
It doesn't really matter if Twig falls behind because he's relying on the percent damage from his passive and the true damage off of his ultimate. He doesn't need to have as many points in his abilities for them to be effective. So, if you're going standard Serqet, you're 2 levels down, that's a really bad look. For tank Serqet, it's not the end of the world.
EmilZy avoids a double tap. Oracles easily go to obey. Don't know how much they want here. CaptainTwig uses the ultimate to interrupt the Zerkers.
He had to because he kind of fully committed there in that engagement, going to the backline, used his dash in and his jump. So when he deathbanes, he's like, well, guess I've got to ult to make sure I don't get focused for a moment. But Rival weren't really feeling that anyway.
Honestly, that ends up being better for Obey that Twig does that because it gets the purification beads away from IceIceBaby, who now needs to be worried about that Ganesh silence, the knock-up from the Ganesh, and the Serqet damage in CC and whenever he comes dunking down next.
I guess that's one of the things about Thor as well, that since, we've not seen Thor in a little while in terms of competitive play regularly, Ganesh has been an addition from the support pool that really can shut him down.
It's a really tough matchup because, like I said, it's not just the Berserker's barrage that you really don't want to get interrupted. Getting silenced out of the middle of your hammer teleport so that you can't teleport is pretty much the worst feeling ever.
I mean, for the longest time, I've said, I love Thanatos into Thor because of the silence, strictly because of the silence the ultimate can follow, because it's the silence. And then EmilZy, with Ganesh coming through, I was just like, forget about Thanatos. This Ganesh, this is what you pick into a Thor. Obey, just, this is the new textbook.
And remember, it was Rival who picked the Thor after the Ganesh, after the Serqet for Obey Alliance. It was the final pick for Rival, so you know that IceIceBaby, he knew what he signed up for with this Thor selection. He's done a good job so far of staying away from EmilZy, not trying to take fights on the left-hand side because that's where EmilZy's more likely to be.
Vote going to be aggressed on here. Not quite going to find the jump. Not quite going to find the dash. Not quite going to find the ultimate as it ages the way. And Vote not quite going to find the death.
Can we just notice as well that Vote just walked straight?
Yeah.
He just carried on walking in a straight line like, I'm not going to try and juke. I'm just going to keep going straight. Ricochet missed, as well as the charge because he just kept walking straight.
It's the non-juke.
And then when the suns come down, he's like, okay, this is going to hurt a little bit more than I bargained for. Guess I'll Aegis.
It's the non-juke, man.
And honestly, I mean, Obey goes into that engagement saying, yeah, if we get a Aegis, it's probably worth it.
And it was.
It ends up still being worth it, even without them being particularly accurate.
But it does lower Gold Fury pressure from Obey for a moment or two. You don't have to really worry about it. Knowing the suns are down, that's the real secure they're going to have around the Gold Fury, at least for zoning work and actual just regular damage onto it without being around.
This is the second game in a row, and probably, if I go back and watch the VOD, perhaps the third game in a row, where Team Rival never stopped pushing these towers.
Yeah, and that's been a consistent thing they've been doing overall, and I think that's just Obey being a little bit late back towards the farm because they've been making sure that they secure their own jungle, which means that if they split in their own jungle without having too many people rotate around, it causes a problem where you're going to get free tower damage off. You're not losing the experience, you are losing some gold.
Exactly, and and it's the small little pokes. We were watching Sylvanas just walk up, toss 3 autos, and then walk away. That all counts
well, the funny
up.
Thing is,
look at it.
When you look at tower damage, it also reflects gold. If there's no real kills in the game that's a lead, and there's no real objectives down, like a Gold Fury pulled him, you can see where it's come from.
The objective right now are the little guys. Team Rival pick up the free vision on the back end. There's going to be a little pop, and CaptainTwig going to be chased out. Ice goes up. Ice left, right. Nope. Safety. Back into the middle lane.
Knew it was going to be safety. Obviously, he was looking for CaptainTwig, but Twig just had too many reinforcements.
Twig had beads up. He was surrounded by teammates. Not the right target selection. Better choice by IceIceBaby to just head towards safety. Wlfy dropping the ult there. You already see the interaction between that last breath, shutting down the healing, trying to get some damage reduction off of that last breath ultimate, but the heal not going to be relevant.
But look at the build coming out from IceIceBaby as well. Is this going to be a Spirit's Robe next? I mean, or Magi's Blessing?
Magi's Blessing for Wlfy, yeah, trying to make sure that
third item?
Yeah.
He, clearly doesn't care about player damage because he's bottom of the player damage chart so far. Wlfy's job is to secure objectives, and that's about it.
I actually think it's more stay alive and bait more than anything else, I guess.
Also, Magi's Blessing is so much different than other tank items for me. I don't mind. Magi's Blessing is almost the least offensive tank item in my mind when you're building it on a carry. One, CaptainTwig getting in trouble. Largely because it does something specific. You're negating CC instead of just like making yourself tankier. For me, it's an active item, if you will, and I think it fits into a carries build much better.
There isn't a lot of hard CC in Obey's composition, so Wlfy getting an extra set of beads, basically, which is what Magi's does for him, is pretty solid in this matchup because CaptainTwig needs to hit him with that Cobra's Kiss, EmilZy needs to hit him with the Silence or the Dash, Ataraxia's Stun, and that's about it. I mean, it's Twig's ultimate as well.
I'm not saying it's a bad item. I just think it's a little bit overkill for the stage of the game. Going this deep into the Magi's Blessing already, when he's already got a Warlock Slash, that's defensive enough at the start of the game, in my opinion. Doubling down on this early on, it's going to limit his usefulness in the early game where Isis is supposed to be stronger.
Well, you know, and I wanted to make this comment in the last game that we saw the Isis is that you can look at it as not investing into where you're strongest at, or you can look at it as leaning on that early game strength and sort of the defensive items might put you behind if you weren't as strong in the first place.
Yeah, there's a backstraight Spirit Ball, so it still shows that he's doing somewhat with that Warlock Slash. But it does relieve some pressure on the Ryan side, which means Rival can just continue chipping away. And what they've been done in the first game and this game is just be consistent in focusing the objectives and not the ones that you normally expect. Gold Furies, the Fire Giants.
And like I said, just 2 autos, back off. 3 autos, back off. If you do that every wave, the mid lane tower is almost dead.
Oh, Twig lost half his health to the Spirit Ball after Callus did land that hammer. Speedbuff being looked at by Deathwalker, mainly focused from him. Xaliea and IceIceBaby coming in looking to secure. Still pressure.
Xaliea completely missed. He didn't hit anybody with the knockout.
I think he just got speed
Just
buff
one?
with it, though. I believe that's what got speed. I don't know what else would have gotten it because Rival didn't end up with it.
It was Deathwalker, sorry, it was Xaliea that did actually secure it with the ultimate, but he did knock up one as well. But now it's Rival knowing that's down. They're going to attempt the Portal Demon.
Exactly. If you're going to that Chulainn knockup is so important, and you know Team Rival going to be able to back off here anyway. But wow.
Is Fafnir Hammer and Isis Spirit Ball on the same cooldown? I don't know off the top of my head, but for some reason, the way I've been seeing this played so far, every time a Hammer's come out from Callus, immediately a Spirit Ball follows it.
Nice leash here. EmilZy going to get caught out. Drops the box, and now you see CaptainTwig looking for the end.
Nice
However,
dash.
making his way to the backside. He's going to be stunned out on top of the Thor wall. Spin is good. IceIceBaby looking for it, but Vote gets the kill. One more shot lands it on Xaliea. Ataraxia takes down the Thor.
So, 1 for 1, both junglers dead, but Deathwalker giving chase to EmilZy. The elephant will not forget this kill. No way he can get away from that, and now Rival relieved the pressure and can go straight to a Portal Demon.
And they've got plenty of damage to do it with Deathwalker and Vote being completely healthy. Wlfy still above half HP as well. Now, Prime and Ataraxia both healthy themselves and both have both of their relics available. So Obey do enough to keep Rival off that Portal Demon, at least for the moment.
And I think the big key there was because you've got a Janus and a Hou-Yi there, one portal into an unstable vortex and a ricochet off the wall, you're losing a huge chunk of your health. It's just not worth the risk, and potentially would reset the Portal Demon anyway. I kind of get the idea where I'm like, you know what, it's not worth the risk.
I like what Team Rival are doing here. Well, a little bit of pull. Nobody knows. Ataraxia's pulling the fire.
I mean, dude, there's a freaking ward there. Yeah, there's 2 wards there, actually. One on the ground and then one from the Oracles, and Obey's still trying to force it.
Nice stun, PrettyPriMe. Wow, takes a lot of damage from the mage, from the
Vote.
hunter. Vote rolls out, now finds damage. There's a taunt onto Vote. Now half HP in the Aegis, and I love the Spirit Ball from Wlfy. That is, if it hits, good. If it doesn't, somebody's gone. But IceIceBaby landing on the back end.
He's just a little bit off the mark again, and we can say that a few times about these ultimates. I mean, the play overall, yeah, he's 1-1-3, but he's missing quite a few of these so far. Maybe Tom's right.
Yeah, I just wonder where he...
I don't want to say that. Maybe Tom's right. I hate that. That stung.
I mean, it's no...
There's no AMC.
Gold Fury being pulled now by Obey once more. Remember, Rival does have vision, but without IceIceBaby's ultimate, Rival has to show face in order to defend.
Nice little help from CaptainTwig. Gonna miss, however.
Nice
Big double tap coming out from the Thor. Ataraxia knocked up. Needs one more
Aegis?
shot, but nobody can find it. But Vote, he follows him through the damn portal from left to right. Gets the kill, and the hunter gets number 3.
He read him like a book as well. I was going to say that great escape from PrettyPriMe to allow his hunter out was amazing, but Vote had it tracked the whole way.
Man, what a shot from Vote. And now it's Rival getting the Gold Fury. EmilZy tried to drop the Dharmic Pillars, but still not in range in order to try and steal it away. That's just pure accuracy right there.
I actually think he was really low on time there as well. I believe that was like the hair of the last second because the Aegis came out. Remember that first of all?
Yep.
Fired the first shot, Aegis. Then he's holding for the Aegis, and Aegis takes about 2.5, 3 seconds. So what happens next? Through the portal, bang! Hits him.
And what I love about that is Portal Demon gets aggressed on and taken by Team Rival, full retreat. Is don't forget, there's travel time on both. There's a minimal amount of travel time on both the Rama ultimate and the portal travel.
Yep.
So he shoots that, predicting the exit of the portal, and it just lands down like he's connecting the dots. Oh man, that's the type of play that gets me out of my chair.
That's just nuts, and it sets up so much for Rival. And I mean, yeah, it's sick when someone gets a crazy kill like that, but to get a crazy kill
And it means something.
secures Gold
Yeah.
Fury for you, that secures Portal Demon for you, secures Tier 1 Tower in middle for you, that's a really impactful play out of Vote.
And again, Tier 1 tower in mid probably goes down no matter what there, but assisted by the constant just pestering of Team Rival. This time, a little bit more than pestering. Looks like a full commit on the Tier 2.
Ice is in the sky, though, coming around the corner to catch on to Ataraxia, who was trying to rotate in. Love the play there. Big issue for me. This is very reminiscent of the first game Rival won here, where it's like, okay, just push down and then the game in 20 minutes. You know, it's like it's very, very reminiscent of that.
In this game, it's almost like what Rival wanted to do with their last composition, where it's Athena Taunt into Nox combo, but this time it's Fafnir Hammer into Spirit Ball, and it has been so much more effective in this game. And it's, you know, you got to give credit to Kalas being more comfortable on the Fafnir than on the
that's what it
Nox,
is.
and it's Wlfy on the Spirit Ball just being really comfortable and trusting in Kalas. You can't just wait until that hammer connects at a max distance if you want your Spirit Ball to follow up.
That's what it is for me, and I want to see that composition later at Worlds. I want to see them practice over the couple of months and then go ahead and bring it on the big stage. Big boy started by Team Rival. EmilZy going to stick his trunk in, but Kalas going to keep it at bay.
And now the positioning so far, I mean, it is all Rivals' game to technically lose with this one. Yes, they've got a Janus in the late game. Yes, they've got the plays from Serqet that come out. But right now, they're having a hard time getting to the back line.
EmilZy, he's going to fall down. Vote comes through with the Cassie play, and Wlfy with the last hit. There's the ultimate. It's going to heal a couple of players up. Pop, pop. No damage onto Obey Alliance, but the ultimate onto Wlfy coming out from CaptainTwig. But now he's surrounded. Wing gust, wing gust, wing gust. Jump out
Xalia's
the back end.
dead.
Xaliea can't escape.
Hold, wait for the opportunity. He's going to look for targets. The Prime was a Prime one, but he didn't find the third hit. Prime is still able to come back in, but he's very low. And Deathwalker and Baby will make sure that they can't get involved again.
2 for the man with 2 ices. The Fire Giant going to go ahead and be taken by Team Rival. 4 for none. Rival looking so damn hot here.
This is just like two duelists going at it in a boxing ring where, you know, one round, one slugging into the other and knocking him down, and then he's getting back up next round and he's slugging the other one down. Both these teams are playing very similar to that every single time.
I can't believe this is not a sentence I thought I would say coming into Super Regionals, but to me right now, Rival looks like the best team here so far. I mean, Obey have not looked like themselves in this match, and they didn't look like themselves very much during their set against Elevate. You know, Dignitas obviously lays an egg. E-United looked really good, and so did Luminosity, but at the same point, Rival just has dominated whenever they play their consistent compositions that they're used to.
It's kind of like Elevate in a weird way as well, because, I mean, with how Elevate are at the moment, Elevate have their composition and they run it really well. Rival come in, they have their own compositions too. One or two of them don't run really well, especially if it's very similar to the Elevate one, but they do have a style about it, and when it gets going, they really all know what their duties are on this team.
You know, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you, Ryan. I think that Obey look fine. I don't think that they're not playing like themselves. I just think that Rival is, we always talk about that extra gear, and Obey's usually the team that has that extra gear. Rival has shifted down, and they're in that extra gear.
We'll say we've not seen much of Prime this time.
We haven't seen much of Prime, and we haven't seen much of Twig either.
Yeah, I mean, Twig's been very backliney, if anything else, and Prime's just been more stay alive more than anything else. We're not seeing the Prime.
What is the Giannis offer, though? I mean, we were talking it off screen. Giannis is not that god that can provide that these days.
And Prime played great on the Zeus, and that felt much better to me. You know, I want to see Prime on Vulcan. I want to see Prime on Zeus. I want to see, you know, there's
Vulcan into Isis, though?
There's nothing about his, you know, I don't want to disrespect his Giannis because I just want to be pretty Prime when I grow up, but it's just not it just doesn't seem to have the same impact as his big damage gods.
Let me put something out there. Well, let's put IceIce out there. Goes up top. Looking for a target.
Focus is
going to be
Twig.
Xaliea who's looking for the flank. Right on top, spin to win. Thorns are going to be good. However, the Suns come down. Raxia, big play by Xaliea. Going to separate Wlfy from the rest of the squad. Down goes the mid lane mage. Kalas and trouble for Deathwalker as well. As Xaliea continues to push forward. EmilZy with a strong silence. And everybody on the run.
It will be on the run, but everyone should be able to get out here as well. IceIceBaby with enough escapes. They're chasing Deathwalker too, who will dance
silence.
around. Even if he dies,
I like that
even
play.
if he dies, I think it's okay for them. Fire Giant is still on 3 members of the team here. If they keep hanging around, though, to support each other, I'm going to call a different story there.
And right there, Prime just kind of makes me eat my words because he hits a big snipe onto Wlfy, and that's what sets up all of that going in Obey's favor. And that's what Obey really need. You know, Twig is not going to be doing your big damage. I mean, look at the builds that he goes for. My man's out here building Spirit's Robe, 3rd item after Mystical Mail. You need Prime to be that big burst of damage out of the mid lane.
I don't like IceIce's selection there to go on to Xaliea. I don't like that idea at all.
I think he was forced to prevent the flank.
No, because he wasn't forced to. Like, everybody knew where he was. If he goes into the damage dealers in the backline, the other threats, they're playing defensive, not offensive at that point, having to deal with a Thor in their face. You go in a frontline tank, your damage dealers are being left alone at that point.
What I want to see, what I think I would have liked to see is land with the ultimate on Xaliea.
And then jump away.
And harass the backline.
Fine.
Because you stop Xaliea, you even put out the wall maybe, and then the flank is separated.
Yeah, but you can't jump into a backline as Thor because then your
Then you
escape
can't
is
get
down.
out.
Right.
Hi, guys. I've got a wall. That's it.
That's the whole point of landing on the back line to then jump out afterwards. I don't disagree with you, Hindu, but because of where IceIceBaby ulted from, everyone on Obey knew that he was up in the air and he was coming down. So everyone from Obey retreats, just kind of makes a turtle formation and makes sure that he's going to land into a bad situation in the back line, and then that's what forces IceIceBaby onto a less than ideal target.
Just didn't work out for him, and that's just giving Obey a small window. It's not a game-changing window, but that was a good Phoenix defense. And the main thing is all 3 Phoenixes stand through the first Fire Giant rotation.
Nice defensive stop coming out from Obey Alliance, but we're almost a half hour into this one, and Team Rival still significantly in the driver's seat, just shy of 10,000 gold here, up 6 kills, 10-4. And Team Rival, well, it's a tie series, but this game looks like it belongs to the purple.
And PrettyPrime's going to need to keep doing that if Obey wants to defend again. Wlfy has been the catalyst for Rival thus far, and him getting put down to 40% HP off of one Janus snipe is a really good way to turn the team fight.
And talking about the Janus, I mean, we saw on Wlfy earlier on, he didn't go for this sort of build. I mean, Dumo, but into Rodder Tahuti. We saw Wlfy go for the Chronos, which is a great item, but it doesn't provide the power you really need at this stage of the game.
One of my favorite mage builds. I think it's just bringing a lot of what you want out of your mage. But what I was going to say is PrettyPrime kind of playing in this series, perhaps this weekend, but specifically this series, playing the role that Lobster plays on his team, where he's a facilitator, frequently finds himself dying so that his other teammates can really take care of business. Not always on the highlight reel, but always a guy that you think of as really helping out the squad.
Right, but Obey is full of facilitators.
Which again, so my point being, PrettyPrime is playing like Lobster when perhaps he should be playing like PrettyPrime.
Yeah, exactly. And Obey became the best team in the world by having him be PrettyPrime.
Raijin, Zeus, etc.
Thoth, the Vulcan. I mean, he can play a lot.
Thoth?
Thoth. What did you? You're gonna call out my pronunciation when you just said Zeus?
I'm CaptainTwig.
Zeus. I'm mad that you said that because I was gonna save it for when he dies to an IceIceBaby double tap, and I was gonna say CaptainTwig.
Oh, that would have been good.
That would have been pretty good.
Yeah, but you just ruined it.
I mean, if he just did it at the right time, it would have sounded good too, but now he spoiled himself by saying that.
I mean, I'm still going to say it.
Yeah, I think this is actually on
And now you say it and it's just wasted.
No, I'm still going to do it.
No, now you're going to look like an idiot.
No, I'm going to look really swag.
Yeah, but,
Wait.
I guess there is this that more people will appreciate it.
I didn't mean idiot, just in case Twitter's listening. I meant silly.
Facebook's listening, by the way, on the phones.
Like and retweet. I mean, like and what is it? Like and what?
Share.
Share.
Oh,
right now, Team Rival.
I don't like sharing.
Looking to share their lead with only themselves here. Deathwalker one more time leading the charge, left side. Meanwhile, I think I hear Thor going for it. Nice stun on the right side. Well, there's damage onto Xaliea. Spin to win. And he'll preemptive. I don't like that ultimate out of Wlfy, and I think Team Rival are going to regret it.
I do. It tops up Vote and gives him the protection to
Everybody was
absorb the
full.
damage a little bit more. No, he's fine. No, Vote wasn't. Vote wasn't. Vote is now as the engagement goes on again.
And EmilZy's going to take some damage, drop down the pillar. Xaliea leading the charge once more.
Space time.
Wlfy half HP. Kala's the only one that gets hit by the snipe. Deathwalker, what are you doing? You're way too far up there. Xaliea going to bring down the boom.
And the portal is still up as well for them to jump through. EmilZy going to wrap round the back, and the hammer from Kalas missing. EmilZy looking for a prime target, but he doesn't know which one. IceIce will get to the sky in time. The rest of Rivals still have to keep running.
And landing. Where's he going to land? Where's he going to land? Safely.
Needs a wall.
Oh, drop the
Good
wall.
wall.
Nice wall. There's a gazinkle tap, but not going to be enough.
Gazinkle tap?
Gazinkle. It's the number after 17 million thousand.
We're both looking at Ryan, and Ryan's like, I've got nothing.
I just don't understand how you came up with that math.
Gazinkle. Okay, I mean, I don't,
17 million thousand.
just so you know, it was 3.
Yeah, he hit like 4 people with it. It
He
was
hit
nice.
3 and the other one was cut off. That's what happened. But it was a fantastic wall, and that's actually, again, Obey. This is turning. Do you remember I know there's a few Dictas fans and players in the audience right now, but do you remember that 3 Phoenixes down and 5 Fire Giants?
Not even close.
It's starting to feel that way.
Not even close.
Are you sure?
Well, the difference being
Well,
that
with
Dignitas at least got some Phoenixes.
Well, with Obey getting the Gold Fury, actually, you know, this is the beginning of
I'm
a
just
comeback.
saying.
Because Rival, despite their Obey was putting on fantastic defensive performances, but Team Rival was maintaining their 10K gold lead despite it. Now, with the take of the Gold Fury, I'm a little bit less secure in the fact that Team Rival was just going to truck it.
The Phoenix is staying alive is so huge for Obey, though, because he just keeps putting this defensive position of like, okay, we lose a team fight, we lose the Fire Giant, no problem, we still got the Phoenix, we defend again.
Because when you take care of the Phoenix, the Fire Minions come, and then you've got homework to do.
You just have to deal with so many different things. You've got a lot to juggle on your plate with the players pushing down on one side, the Fire Minions on the other. You can't chase too deep if you start to win a team fight. Without your Phoenixes being down, Obey has the option to try and make a better counter push if they are to continue to defend well. The other thing, though, is that there are a lot of towers that Obey is still need to bring down. Like, they are still 2 or 3, you know, at least wipes away from being able to end the game.
But I tell you what, if the next Fire Giant goes down and Obey do manage to potentially wipe 3 or 4 members of Rival on that sort of aggression again, there will be a Phoenix lost, for sure. The respawn timers just take too long.
And don't forget, I mean, sure, there's a bunch of towers, but you're able to take 1 tower down, a Phoenix, a good team fight, and PrettyPriMe just going to subway his way right in there.
Don't drop ship. Imagine if they lose to a drop ship this game. I'm getting way ahead of excitement of like, that is a potential thing that could happen.
We are
here.
so far away from that being. I offered it as like a
I just got
now if it happens, it's gonna be like everyone's gonna be saying scripted and rigged and all this stuff, and that's just gonna be no fun.
Have you not read yours yet?
No, I didn't get it.
Okay, you were supposed to be in it by now. That's why.
Well, basically, what happens at the end of this series. Exactly. So.
That went so well. Fire Giant start up again. Space and time, maybe? No?
No reason to waste it here.
Okay, here, my question, I always ask the question, and the answer is always, well, they got to defend their Phoenixes. Why didn't Obey look for that?
Because every single fight they've taken against Rival in the jungle, they've lost as the time's gone on. So why not set up a defensive
8K
plan?
down? That's a
but
fight you can
they've
take.
I mean, look at the state of the game. They've not won any of these fights away from the Phoenixes.
Right, why take a 60-40 fight in their favor when it's been 50-50 underneath your Phoenix?
Why
Fire
make your
Giant-
bet if it's just going to get messy again at night? I say go for it.
Well, first of all, that's why I don't make my bed, because it is going to get messy every night. And secondly, I mean, it's just easier this way to defend. Plus, Obey has so little to gain by winning a team fight there compared to winning their team fight here.
And if you can't keep landing the abilities, like missing the hammer there and then the pin, I mean, EmilZy took a lot more after that, which is great. EmilZy being forced out here is actually pretty big.
And Xaliea coming around from the flank again.
Hits
Suns are
me.
dropped. IceIceBaby going to go to the sky, looking for a target. And it's got to be Xaliea, and it will be Xaliea. PrettyPriMe coming through with the ultimate. But however, Kalas going to go into the dragon form. Vote gets a nice little heal thanks to Wlfy, and we'll try again.
But Vote used both his relics there on defense, whereas so did PrettyPriMe on offense as well. Now he's going to try and heal up in the jungle using the Devourer's Gauntlets for a bit more sustain. Now they can go again.
And again, here comes a Spirit Ball. Ring dropped by EmilZy. Trouble as players are stuck inside. Kalas Bringing the tower as he should be, but getting relatively low. And again, half HP on the Phoenix. This is the most damage they've been able to do to an objective just yet.
But that's the first time Vote's got in range now to start whacking away in it. I know they have been forced out, so Phoenix will fall down. EmilZy committed on, but will escape to the right-hand side. Callus frozen in place in that dragon form, allowed Ataraxia to beat him down a little bit more. This will slow Rival down from going straight to a second Phoenix for a moment's notice. It may force them all the way back.
But you know what? This is progress. This is better than they did on the left side. This is better than they did in the mid lane, and nothing really's changed. So, I mean, this is just a good look for Team Rival.
You know what's funny is that, honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if the reason that Rival goes right there is because they just haven't had success left.
He's looking left. That's why Shen has stopped them from back. He's actually got Prime in his own. Remember, no relics for Prime. Won't get to the portal in time. Ataraxia wants to potentially engage on IceIce, but now reinforcements are here, and they've got to run from Deathwalker.
Oh, Wlfy just barely missed that spirit ball. If Wlfy hits that spirit ball, it might be game. 2 players stunned, 3 players dead. That's a push from Rival.
I guess.
Maybe, but either way, that's a great individual play from IceIceBaby, recognizing that PrettyPriMe speeds were down, and now this opens the door for another Phoenix push.
Mid lane, Phoenix going to be the target, already down to half HP.
Vote's
Trouble
dead.
as IceIceBaby
Vote's
gets
dead.
very low. Vote's dead. CaptainTwig gets credit, and now it's a 4-on-4.
And now Obey can hold this tier 2.
Yep.
It's like this middle Phoenix, because you need Vote MBK with you every single time to defend these, to attack these Phoenixes and siege them down.
Yeah,
No way of getting away.
Nice stuff coming out from Obey Alliance. Again, just stopping the Phoenix one more time. IceIce probably looking more for the Oracles than anything else. DW going to show up and help out with the gold here.
Well, there's a bit of a power play right now for Obey. They're going to realize it soon, because Vote's dead for another 30+ seconds. PrettyPriMe has respawned. We'll see what they choose to do here. They could probably go into their jungle a little bit deeper, put a couple of wards down to get some idea about where Rival's going to go. They can't do much more than that, because there's not much more they can.
And Fire Giant's not up for another 90 seconds still, so not
Portal
a
Demon.
lot. And Portal Demon's up, and maybe Obey want to try and be the aggressors there, but Portal Demon's still going to spawn in 5 seconds or so. Vote will be up in the next 5, and then it's not going to take them long to get there. So Obey Alliance likely going to just keep that right side minion wave pushed up, make sure that their Titan isn't under any threat from those fire minions, and just allow Rival to do what they've done three times so far this game, which is grab a Fire Giant.
This feels like a rank game right now, where you're like, guys, we can't do anything. Guys, will you press F6? And they're like, no, we can still win this game. No, we can still win this game. And then you're like, all right, I'm not going to F6 even now, because I actually do have a feeling that we might be able to do it. If we can just keep wiping them out of Phoenix, then maybe we can win.
Maybe. I am not writing Obey Alliance off by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're still in this one simply because of the talent that they have and what they've shown as far as their defensive prowess. Team Rival still up by about 10,000 gold, more of an illustrative feature. Obey have not yet reached a full build, so perhaps more relevant than I'm letting on. But 11-6, 38 minutes in.
Ethereal staff for Janus.
Just getting that extra bit of health to make sure that if he gets caught without relics again, that he won't fall. Plus, that passive is still pretty helpful. I mean, doing an extra 5% of a god's max health. Now, that is mitigated by protection, so penetration very important, and that's why you see Prime going for what's likely going to be a Spear of Desolation in that last item slot. Gives him a little bit of CDR and that power and pen that he needs to make that ethereal staff that much more valuable.
But no Chronos pendant. That's the only thing I'm looking at that. I'm like, no more cooldowns.
Well,
but I guess when you
at
play
this stage,
one rotation and you don't do it, I guess, it doesn't really matter, right?
Exactly. You need your through space of time to hit, and you needed to hit it real damn hard at this point. I mean, getting 2 off faster isn't as relevant.
So why not Soul Reaver then?
Soul Reaver actually, I think, could have been relevant here, but I think he's a little bit worried about the CC. There's crowd control reduction on that ethereal staff as well, and with how much CC Rival has, that could be the difference between living and dying.
Wlfy and IceIceBaby coming through with the Magi's bubbles. So CC certainly on the mind of Team Rival. 39.5. Team Rival look for what is another siege. EmilZy taking down to 75%. Twig brought down to almost 0. Vote not going in the sky just yet.
No, he couldn't get up in time because of the knock-up that came out from Xaliea actually stopped him from being able to do that. And he didn't want to use a relic to do that, so Twig
big
will
money.
be back. And Twig still has his ultimate, remember that.
Ataraxia and EmilZy brought down pretty low. Deathwalker again going to be a little bit too far up front. EmilZy drops the ring. Will be enough to kill Deathwalker combined with CaptainTwig. IceIce looking for a target. lands on nobody. Instead, looking for the defensive move of a wall. Not gonna find it. It's on Raxia. One tap is good enough. Phoenix still stands.
And it will stand again. You saw Vote was prioritizing damage over the Phoenix. Calyx was trying to tank it up for him. But when one of your tanks is dead, it makes it very difficult for the other one to just stand there the entire time and create the same zone to get your Hunter in.
Rival just had a little bit too split of a focus. You're totally right. Vote looking for damage instead of the Phoenix. Now when it's at a 5v5, you can look for that damage because maybe if you get a pick, you not only get that Phoenix, but the other one, maybe you can end the game. That makes sense. But as soon as Deathwalker dies on that resurgence by Rival, that has got to be Phoenix and out. Try and get something for losing your soul later and get back, heal up, and wait to regroup with him. Vote just on a different page than the rest of Rival.
And something that I've noticed about Deathwalker here, not just in that last sequence,
He's
not
dead.
just the sequence before, also dead, and the sequence before that, also dead. The problem is Deathwalker way too far up front. There's something to be said about zoning, but he's on a different planet.
Well, the thing is, he's going to go a little bit deeper knowing he's got an Isis with him. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there because even if he can keep it at max range, Isis can still interrupt. And that max range Spirit Ball will delete a carry if that situation arises.
Sure, but Isis has routinely used the ultimate on the back end, looking more for the heal than the damage reduction and the offensive push, which I think might be the change. Agree with me or disagree. I want to see Wlfy put the ultimate on top of the Phoenix and just let Vote siege.
Well, that's been the idea, but he's needed to pop it early because of how low Deathwalker has gotten. I'm more of the train of thought that Deathwalker has gone a little bit too far forward, but Vote has to do a better job of focusing the objective.
Yes. We are spoiled by Double Hunter. Vote, your only job is to deal with the Phoenix right now. Let everybody else deal with everybody else. CaptainTwig getting hit by the Spirit Ball. And Callus this time is the target of Ataraxia's ire. The Hunter with 3 kills.
Oh, Twig goes in with a big ultimate and will get away from IceIce. Round the back comes Xaliea, anti-healing onto Vote as well. Circle of protection. They're all going to stand in it. Xaliea needs to get out, but he blew up so heavily.
1 shot on Captain, 2 shots on Captain, and the 3rd will be good from all the way downtown.
That could be the
Vote
game.
finds a dozen.
That could be the game. Vote MBK may have just won them the game by taking out CaptainTwig. And EmilZy will get through a portal that was designed for Prime. That's game 3. That's Rival taking this one. It took him a long time, though, to break the base.
There aren't a lot of discussions revolving around Vote being a big play hunter at LAN, but that talk needs to start. He's had a great series so far for Rival, and that absolutely the big difference there.
Yeah, Vote has routinely been, and it's odd because hunters are usually the spotlight players, but Vote for this team has been a role player. Deathwalker is really kind of the guy that everybody looks at, but silently, Vote just comes through and wins the game.
You know, there was 2 things at the end of that engagement as well. The circle protection down, Xaliea tried to get out of it, took a big chunk, but then Thorn straight after. If he would have Thorns during that, Wlfy could have been dead, which could have immediately made Rival play defensive.
You've got to give a lot of credit, though, to Obey on those numerous defenses underneath the Phoenix, down by a ton of gold. Even that last one, what a play by EmilZy and the rest of that roster to where Callus was transforming, lay down the Dharmic Pillars, and then the CC chain to keep him on it. EmilZy probably did 3/4 of the other Guardian's HP there.
And that was the whole idea of, like, obviously he goes in, you know, we see Callus go in, he'll ult, zone him all away, and then immediately, like, everything was one after the other, while Deathwalker had aggro. He didn't even have aggro anymore, Callus, and he still bursted down before the fight even started.
And that's sort of where I was talking about when I said, you know, Obey, they're not really dropping the ball. Obey are playing well.
Yeah.
Rival are just besting them, believe it or not.
I still think it's going to be 3-1 now to Rival. I thought whoever won that game will all come out on top, and it is, after all, Obey, and there've been a few situations where they've been down games and stayed in it. We'll see.
We're going to have to take a look at the picks and bans. I will say, however, every time Obey get their backs to the wall, they look for that Zeus. The one thing I say, ban the Zeus. We'll catch in just a moment.
Welcome back here to the desk. Finch Taco, Toli, and we just saw it there on the highlight, the play that got Rival up 2-1 over Obey. Vote showing up big for him on the ROM.
It was a struggle and a journey for all of Rival, and we saw actually at the tail end of that clip there by Wlfy taking off his headset. He wasn't too ecstatic about that win. He went straight into communications with the rest of his team, wanting to, you know, just iron out the wrinkles.
It's because that win wasn't really as crisp and as clean as Rival would have preferred it to be, considering that they were actually able to amass a decent enough lead during that earlier to mid-game portion. It just became incredibly difficult for them to actually close that one out, showing that there were certainly some flaws within their composition.
Not one, not two, not three. It took 4 to 5 times of a Phoenix Siege to finally break Obey Alliance there, and finally the snipes from Vote coming into full effect there, just picking off CaptainTwig, ending things, and they baited Callus pretty well there during that Phoenix Siege. Whether or not that was intended, of knowing Callus was going to fall that quickly, is left to be undiscovered, but taking full advantage of the cooldowns from Obey.
And at a certain point there, because we were watching the game, so I'm taking my notes, I just stopped writing Obey Defend Phoenix. I just stopped writing it down because it just kept happening. It just was such a struggle for him. What was it, Taco, that Obey team was doing so well to defend the Phoenix?
I think it was mostly just knowing that Rival was typically sacrificing that Ice's ultimate right from the get-go. So when Wlfy doesn't have that confirmation to use on the Titan because they're trying to secure the Phoenixes with it, then that gave Obey enough of the confidence to feel as though they could aggress back into this draft.
And not only that, there was a lot of space control with the Dharmic Pillars, the Suns from Ataraxia, Xaliea going in, knocking up 4 or 5 people against Rival, making it just so difficult to actually break the barrier.
And you're right there when you talk about how well they were playing Obey in particular. There were so many plays from that game that Obey did that kind of stuck out to me. I mean, I don't know if you remember early on in the game, Twig kind of goes on like a merry adventure there with that Serqet and ends up escaping, even though they don't win. I mean, look, he's way back here by the back Harpies, totally. What went wrong for him here with this play?
I mean, he tried to be aggressive, steal away the Harpies from Rival, and it just wasn't working out for him. He barely survives the portals. He goes through that one, and I think this is where Up in the Sky comes down IceIceBaby. And look at this hot 180 poison. It disrupts the teleport, disrupts the potential Berserker Barrage.
And then the immediate death bane afterwards for the final bit of that Serqet escape. And sometimes you just got to juke through all of it, and that was kind of the case for Twig. Of course, with a little bit of assistance there from Prime, that Janus portal really making that entire clip possible.
Serqet has enough mobility on her own. You add some Janus portals and a threshold on top of that, good luck trying to catch her.
And that's what makes this so frustrating, a loss for Obey. I mean, you saw it there on that clip. They made some excellent individual plays, some excellent Phoenix defenses, but this composition from Rival just managed to come through here. Totally, we were talking a little bit about Wlfy's build there throughout it on that Isis in particular. Talking about what Wlfy and this Isis were able to do for Rival.
It's utility-based, same exact style as game number 1. Going for Spirit's Robe into Rod of Asclepius this time around, as opposed to, I think, Magai's Blessing, or actually simply to avoid some of the Ganesha silences, was very important considering that he didn't want to get his Wing Gust interrupted.
And the other thing, too, for me is that Rival kind of had a difficult time sieging the Phoenixes because, again, Toli, you brought up the space control. It wasn't just the Dharmic Pillars. It was also those Suns from the Hui Ultimate. Ataraxia really putting in work trying to keep the members of Rival off of their objectives.
And we talked about, that big play that Vote makes. That's the one that kind of like seals the game for them. But that really wasn't even the only highlight thing Vote was doing. He looked great on this ROM the whole game. I mean, he was excellent with it. He actually managed to get this really excellent kill here. I believe it was on Ataraxia. I mean, just tracking him through those portals.
It seemed that he just had the, that headshot targeter there. He predicted it. And look, no hesitation. He just flicked his mouse to the side. We're going to take a look in slow-mo. He sees the portals coming from a distance, is expecting it to happen, and just fires loosely.
Yeah, this is where, if you zoom in with like an anime lens, his eyes open up, he gets the cutaway action frame, and he's like, I see the lines, and he follows him right on through, gets the hot shot there, does Vote. But, I mean, such a big part of this comp, they relied so much on his damage here from that ROM.
And that was the other thing, too, is that the Rama was able to find that damage because you also had the assistance from the rest of the team. He had that survivability because of Wlfy with the Isis. And then on top of that, he had a lot of setup potential due to the fact that his team was running the Erlang Shen, running the Fafnir. So you've got a knock-up or the potential hammerstones coming out, even in the Draconic form. It just makes everything so much easier when you're just trying to be that hunter that free cast.
Normally in the